Welcome to the Late Night Race Review.
I think we've got a lot of potential beneath us, but to win a race you've also got to get off the line quite well, and I think 2 starts I've made this week worse than my worst ever start in Formula 1.
Ferrari have discovered something quite clever in the regulations, I feel. It doesn't specify that the wing has to be mounted the right way up when the active aero is deployed. Let's watch that again. And that means that they can run the wing upside down as the car goes down the straight.
I think we've produced a good car. I think we'll be in the Big Four. I don't think we're in the front of the Big Four. But it's going to be a long season with a lot of development. We're still learning, but I think we're in a good starting position. But I think the red guys and the silver guys, I think, are looking very strong. And I don't think we've seen everything yet at a Red Bull, but I think we're definitely in the top 4.
Don't forget to support the podcast by hitting those like, follow, and subscribe buttons.
Welcome on into the Late Night Race Review. My name is Aidan Scott, and joining me this evening for our return for the Formula 1 2026 season is Isidro Gonçalves and Damien Scott. Chaps, I hope you're both keeping well. Welcome back, and how have you been? Did you have a nice winter break?
Yeah, much better than Aston Martin.
Oh, we're off with the zingers already here. We're not even like 2 seconds into this episode, Isidro. Davey, what about you? Did you have a good winter break? Did you get up to much?
Yeah, not too bad. Better than Williams.
Yeah, Jesus, there's been a couple of teams that have been a little bit stressed out over the winter break for sure. Definitely Aston Martin and Williams not having a good start to this. But no, chaps, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I've missed yous. I have. I don't know what I've been doing myself here over the last couple of months. Well, doing my normal sort of day-to-day jobs stuff, and all that other boring crap. But I always get excited when we get to talk some about Formula 1. So I've definitely missed you. But yeah, folks, look, we're finally back for the Formula 1 2026 season, and what a season we have to look forward to. From a brand new set of regulations, 2 new teams joining the F1 grid in the form of Audi and Cadillac, 1 new rookie in the form of Arvid Lindblad, and the return of Mr. Mullet and Captain Slow, Mr. Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. We also have 2 new power unit manufacturers in the form of Ford and Audi, and also apparently Lewis Hamilton is dating Kim Kardashian. That's right, folks. A lot has happened over the winter break, pretty much as we start this countdown right down to Melbourne. But as the title and description of today's episode states, we're here to discuss the 2026 pre-season testing. How has each team found this new set of regulations? Which team looks to be the favourites? And which one should probably throw their car in the bin and start from scratch? As we've just kind of mentioned there a little bit, I think Aston Martin and Williams might need to look at doing that. But look, before we give a breakdown of each team for those who are just getting into Formula 1 for the first time or still have no idea what it's about and all these new sets of regulations, what we're quickly going to do is we're going to quickly give you a breakdown or a quick rundown of the 2026 regulations. So obviously, from last season to this season, we're in a brand new set of regulations, new era of how these cars are designed and how they look. We're gone from the ground effect era. But basically, to summarize in a nutshell, the cars are 30 kilograms lighter. They have a redesigned power unit, so they've got increased battery power. They now have a split between internal combustion engine and electric power. The hybrid unit itself is down from it's down to 400 kilowatts from 560 kilowatts, and the battery has also been increased from 120 kilowatts all the way up to 350 kilowatts. The cars will also have movable front and rear wings, which obviously this will also be replacing the whole DRS system as well. But now also as well, the cars have a new overtaking system. So they've got a Z and X mode and all this kind of stuff, which basically replaces DRS. Now this mode, it can be used within 1 second of the car in front or any straight line that is longer than 3 seconds. And there's definitely a lot of tracks on the calendar that have a lot of straights that are longer than 3 seconds. So definitely very, very exciting. But also as well, the wheelbases have been reduced from 3,600mm millimeters down to 3,400 millimeters. The width has also been reduced by 100 millimeters. The front wheels are reduced by 25 millimeters and the rear wheels by 30 millimeters. The downforce has been reduced by 30% and also the drag has been reduced by 55%. But the main thing about this as well is that all the cars now have a partially flat floor. They also have a lower diffuser. And also pretty much what that means is that gets rid of the whole ground effect sort of thing that we had over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And pretty much it also means that the cars, they're not relying on an ultra stiff setup. So chaps, with all the nerdy stuff out of the way, do you think all of these regulations are going to be good for the sport? Are we actually going to have some real exciting racing going into the 2026 season? I don't know who wants to take this one first. I know we've all been eager to kind of get our opinions out there. So whoever wants to jump in first here, fire away.
Go on, Isidro.
Well, I think the idea was to be good for the sport, but if anything, from the testings that we've seen and the feedback from the drivers, this will be a shit show of season.
Right in there, Zidro, not wasting any time here, just getting straight down to the facts. It's going to be a shit show.
Don't be afraid to give us your opinion, you know.
No, Damien. Whatever Zidro says something, it's not only fact, it's opinion. It's opinion and fact and statement. It's all rolled into one thing. Damien, what's your opinion on this? Do you think that these set of regulations are going to be good for the sport, or do you think it's actually going to be exciting? Because we've seen a lot of footage of how these cars are performing, especially on long straights in Bahrain and things like that. These cars look to be struggling already, and we're not even at Melbourne.
I've kind of, what would you say? I've kind of purposely not really taken too much of what we've seen coming out of these testing sessions with too much, too much vigor. I think everybody's just trying to find their feet. Like it's clearly a new direction. As you say, we have a lot more battery power. There'll be a lot more managing of the battery in that case versus the last set of regulations. And yeah, the ICE engine part of it is underpowered versus what it was from last season. So I think the best drivers will adapt to it. Those that struggle, they're not going to have a great season. So is it the right direction to go? I don't know. But I think it's going to take at least 4 or 5 races really before we can really, see if the direction is the right one or not. It might even take half a season. So I think between now and then, we're going to see, some teams perhaps struggle or some drivers struggle to adapt. I think when Max Verstappen, he's been a little bit flippant with his comment in terms of saying, "Oh, we're just turned into Formula E." I don't think we've gone that far, but I have heard that some of the drivers have been talking to their friends and former colleagues who now race in Formula E. As you know, most of them all live in Monaco, so their neighbours.
Oh, my mate just down the street there in Monaco.
So I think the smart drivers have been, tapping into that network and chatting to them about, how they race and, what their race looks like. But I don't think it's that extreme that they'll have to adopt that driving style. So what would we say? I'm kind of cautious but optimistic. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I know probably the returning or the recurring, if you want to say, trend that we're going to be talking about not saying all season long, but for the first, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 races of the season, you're probably going to hear us say this exact sentence every single time. I know it's still early days, but I mean, yeah, look, I know it is early days. This is preseason testing. Obviously, this is the opportunity for all these teams to get all the issues out of the car and try and, get things under control and stuff like that. But at the same time, too, I know it's always been a history of, teams sandbagging and all this kind of stuff. I can understand that certain teams want to be holding back on what these cars are capable of. But there has been a few examples of when these cars have been turned up to, not saying to the full whack, maybe they haven't been turned up to the full whack yet, but we have seen a couple of examples of how these cars can perform, and it still hasn't been to the point where we're like, oh my god, these cars are incredible. Isidro, you have a follow-up point?
Yeah, I just say it's not a good sign when an F1 driver wants the opinion of Nick de Vries So what do you think about this?
Well, now, in fairness, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I will defend Nick de Vries. Not only does he race in Formula E, he also races in the World Endurance Championship. So you leave Nick alone, all right? He races hypercars for a living as well. So you leave him alone. You use another driver. But I have to say, that's actually pretty genius, because one of the things that I've heard nonstop here over the last couple of weeks, or the recurring sort of thing I've seen in the comment section of what people are saying, is that these cars are just basically battery management tools. That's what they are. Like, it's all about battery management. And who best to ask for advice on battery management than a professional Formula E driver? That's pretty genius. It is pretty genius. But anyway, look, moving on, guys. Just quickly, before we actually do talk about this, because this is a segment we'll be talking about a little bit further on in the episode, just really quick, I just want a one-word answer. Which team do you think will get it right? Isidro?
Mercedes.
Damien?
Yeah, Mercedes.
Mercedes. Yeah, I think that's been the recurring thing for the last couple of weeks. All eyes have been on Mercedes, but we'll leave it there for now, and we'll come back to them very, very, well, not very shortly, but in a while anyway, we'll come back to them. But moving on, look, we do need to talk about each of these teams, because obviously all of the cars have been revealed, all the testing has been done. The countdown now is down to Melbourne, which is going to be in 13 days exactly. So yeah, 8th of March is when the first race is taking place. But obviously, look, as I said, all the cars have been revealed, all the liveries were showcased there over the course of January and February and all this kind of stuff. And obviously at this time of the year, it's always very exciting, you know, when a new Formula One season is coming around, and you want to see the reveal of the new car and what it looks like. And especially when it comes to Formula One, it's always very exciting, because these cars always look incredible. But especially with these new set of regulations, a lot of people were excited to see what these cars would actually look like, because we've kind of had an idea over the last sort of 3 to 4 years with the ground effect era what they were going to look like. But now, because they're smaller, all these little bits and pieces have been taken off and all this kind of stuff. It's been exciting. But we're going to go through each team individually, and we're going to talk about their livery and also as well the performance overall during testing. So the first team, and we'll get them out of the way, is McLaren. They were last year's champions, and also Lando Norris, he was the World Drivers' Champion. So it's probably best to just kick it off with them. Guys, you see the image that on screen that I have here from Bahrain. We have the McLaren, the new McLaren for these brand new set of 2026 regulations. What do you think about this livery? Now, this is probably one sentence as well that I'm going to continue to say throughout the entire episode. Everyone knows the meme, or if you don't know the movie or whatever it's from, you've seen this online. But one thing I'm just going to literally say here, when it comes to this McLaren, same, but different, but still same. What do you think of the design of this? I mean, literally, it is the same. Damien, what do you think?
Yeah, it's very similar livery, and you know, I don't think the teams are going to change too much if they have a very recognizable brand or a very recognizable image. So I wasn't expecting too much different from them. It's nice. The papaya and the black is, say it's well established for McLaren over the past number of years. So it looks great. It's a great looking car, but not too much different going on. That testing livery they had, the kind of black one, that was really nice. That would have been interesting if they kind of went maybe that direction a little bit more, but you can't beat the papaya color on the car. It's very, very distinct, you know.
Yeah, no, that does look like, it looks menacing. Yeah, it looks very, very nice. Just the actual testing livery. I really did like the look of that there. But of course, no, you're right. You can't beat the old, you know, papaya colours. I mean, that's what they're known for over the last several years, or was it since 2014 or 15 when they moved to the sort of orange, papaya kind of style or whatever it was. But I just missed the days of, when they were Mercedes, McLaren, the black with the red arrows and all that kind of stuff. I just wish for one race, if they were going to do like a sort of like a throwback livery, I wish they would do something like that, like the old school, like red arrows McLaren livery. That would be really, really cool.
The old Marlboro with the MP4, the classic. That'd be a nice throwback, maybe with the papaya.
It would be. But what do you think of the design and stuff like that? Like, I mean, just overall, you know, yeah, okay, you could somewhat say it looks somewhat similar to last year's car, but obviously now with the new rear wings and the front wings and stuff like that, what do you think? Do you think it looks good? Do you think it looks racy? Do you think it looks competitive?
I think they're all going with this high, I suppose, middle fin down the back, which we saw maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 2019, 2020 direction. Which I wasn't really a fan of, but obviously the aerodynamics of these regulations kind of suit that look. So most of them seem to have this, big central fin down the back, whereas we haven't seen that in maybe 5 or 6 seasons. How they incorporate that into design will show it more than others. Like I think the Ferrari one looks like a big white flag on the back of it. It's but we'll get to them. But overall, the design is okay. Not massive difference from last year, except I think for that big fin and maybe the nose is a little bit.
They're definitely compensating for something here. I'm just saying, just throw this out there. Every team is compensating for something. But overall, though, Damien, what do you think of their performance with McLaren over the last couple of days of testing?
Lando seems to be on it, doesn't he? Hard to tell from Oscar. I think from the day one of Bahrain there, he was about a second behind, and then on the day 3, he was, I don't know, maybe 3 seconds behind, something like that. But again, it's really hard to tell at this stage in terms of some are doing more laps than others, and there's a lot going on. But Lando looks fast. Oscar will be thereabouts. So it might be hard to look past McLaren again for the world constructor title, but I think obviously with the new regulations coming in, it's very up in the air. But we'll see after 5 or 6 races if McLaren are still dominant. Then it'll be really hard to look past them.
No, definitely. And I mean, Zach Brown, he seems pretty confident in his car. He said that they expect to be pretty much up there in the fight with the top 4. So hopefully they can kind of stick to that. But no, I do like the design. But again, livery, same, but different, but still same. Isidro, we're moving on to the next team. We are going to talk about Ferrari. I just want to throw this out here. First of all, my own opinion. Now, you might have a completely different opinion. This livery is absolutely shite. There is no debate about this. I mean, as Damien literally said there, it just looks like a big white flag on the back of the car. I mean, this was the year where I was thinking to myself, okay, look, the cars look a little bit different. Yes, they're getting smaller in this new sort of aerodynamic design that they've gone with the rear and the front wing. Usually Ferrari, when it comes to these sort of things, like they like to cook when it comes to their designs. But they revealed this, and I'm just like, how you've been working on this for the past year or so, and it's just like in the last sort of couple of weeks before the reveal, some guy in the livery editing team was just like, slap a bit of red, slap a bit of white, there you go, they like that. They all seem to like the Monza livery, so we'll just redo that again. But what do you think of this year's Ferrari, Isidro?
The livery itself, it's I think they are going back in time. Basically, the Scarlet Ferrari is something more recent. The older Ferrari used to have some white in there, so this one is not too bad. I think the time they didn't spend in the livery, I think they spend in the engine,
yes,
and in the fancy wing.
Yeah, that's a different story. Yeah, exactly. That's a different story to tell. But I also have seen as well that they've kind of gone with the old style halo that they had there back in 2023 and 2022. They've brought that back again. So they're bringing a few things that worked for them in the past back here. But I mean, that rear wing, that's the next thing I'm going to talk to you about. Could this be Ferrari's year, Isidro?
Well, so far I think they are definitely up there in the innovation. That rotating wing was something very, very unexpected. From a mechanical perspective, it's definitely a point of failure because you have something rotating over and over across dozens of laps. But if it works, then they really have a shot. Then again, usually the problem is not only with the car, but it's the strategy, it's the pit crew, and unless they innovated that as well and bring new engineers for Leclerc and Hamilton, a nice livery and the rotating wing will not be the miracle they need.
Like, don't get me wrong, okay? I know I shouldn't really be worrying too much about the livery and all that kind of stuff. The livery is one thing. It really just comes down to if the car works properly and it gets points on the board and they actually win races and championships. That's what matters more than the actual look of the car. But look, I might be a bit harsh on this. It's not the best that they've come up with in terms of the livery design. I feel
you look the car from the front, you don't see as much white as it is.
Yeah. But, I mean, I want to look at the whole thing, Isidro. When I'm watching this on Sky Sports and I want to see this going across the line, hopefully in either first or second position, I want to see a really badass looking livery. I want to see the whole thing.
If it goes well, you'll barely see the livery because you'll be seeing from the point of view of Lewis all of that.
That's true. That is very, very true. But overall, I mean, just even talking about, how they've been getting on in with the Bahrain testing and stuff like that, that's where all the teams sort of all of a sudden seen this whole movable rear wing thing spinning around. Everyone was like, what the hell are they doing? What is happening here? But overall, Isidro, how do you think the performance has been for Ferrari during testing? Again, I know obviously I don't want to say that all this data isn't representative of what we are going to be expecting to see in Melbourne and down the road, but it somewhat is, like, okay, if the cars are maybe not cranked up fully, then okay, maybe expect to see like a second maybe or half a second shaved off of all of these times that we've seen over testing. Like, yeah, they might be a little bit faster, but what do you think of Ferrari's performance overall, especially for Lewis coming into this?
I think Ferrari is doing much better. The way that Lewis is showing his mood at the moment, he's happy with the behavior. Leclerc is also fancy the new car and how everything is working, and we've seen the car on those lineups and practicing the start. And we see the Ferrari flying. So if they can keep up the improvements, I'm not a Ferrari fan, but I think they definitely have a shot this year, the way things are at the moment.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree there. I think they do have a shot, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I think at this stage, everyone, if they were listening to last season's episodes here over on YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that, if they listen to it, you understand that yes, I am a big Ferrari fan. I've been a Ferrari fan my entire life, and every year I hold out hope. And like last season when we seen Lewis coming across the line first in that sprint race in China, my God, my hopes were very, very high, but my God, it was a enormously shit season for Ferrari. It just literally went straight downhill after that, which is the typical sort of expectation. So hopefully they can keep on that trend and keep on going even further, which would be great to see because, I mean, Ferrari, they haven't won a championship since, I think, pretty much since the Schumacher era, maybe one or two after that, like it's been a long time since Ferrari have been on that top step, claiming that week in and week out. But look, we do have to move on. Hopefully Ferrari will have a good season this season. I mean, that movable rear wing there on the back, that's an interesting thing to look out for and see how that works out for them. Damien, we need to talk about the next team, Oracle Red Bull Racing. First of all, this livery is absolutely class. There is no debate about this either. This is absolutely class. I love the design that Red Bull have gone with this year. They've gotten rid of that stupid like matte blue color or navy matte, whatever it was from last season that they pretty much had since, 2014 or 13 or whatever it was. They've been running those kind of colors. This looks absolutely incredible, and obviously what a great time to actually start shaking things up a little bit with the incorporation of Ford coming in as a collaborator with the power unit as well. But David, what do you think of the look of Red Bull this season? That car just looks incredible. It really does.
It looks good, yeah. And I think they've incorporated the kind of lighter shaded blue to tie in with the Ford kind of corporate colors. So it's been a while since we've seen this color of blue with Red Bull. Maybe back in the early days they were more of this kind of shade, but it looks great. And the team wear actually they have this year looks really good as well. It seems to be more that kind of blue color as well. But yeah, definitely, I think maybe the best looking car on the grid so far. A
Yeah.
couple of other contenders, but yeah, they've definitely nailed it with the design. That's for sure.
Like, I know I'm getting into the intricacies of this here, but like, just even look at like the blend of like the dark blue going into the light blue with all these little sort of square little black thingies here. Like, I mean, that's just, it just looks so cool. Whoever came up with this design, just, I'm sorry, Ferrari need to hire these people. That's all I'll say. Ferrari need to hire whoever did the Red Bull livery, because this is how you do a livery. Just all the incorporation into that as well. Like, it's just... it just looks really, really cool.
Ferrari are always going to be traditional. You know, they're not going to venture too far away from their very plain kind of colors or liveries. They're not going to do all this kind of, you know, fancy blurring and stuff like that. But yeah, Red Bull always had a bit more in that terms, you know. So yeah, I think they got it really right with this one.
Yeah, even on track, it looks so good. Like, I know obviously with some of the images that people seen online, or if you haven't watched the preseason testing, like, yeah, it kind of looks from different angles. Like, even in this shot here, it looks a little bit, you know, like the old sort of style blue color. Like, you think, oh, it just literally looks like the exact same car from last year, but it is very, very different. It is not same, but different. This is very different, very different, but still same in some areas.
I think this is going to look great under the lights of some of those night races, like Vegas or Singapore. Yeah, it's going to sparkle going down the straight and on the strip. Yeah, it's going to look great.
Exactly, no, 100%. But obviously, one of the things we did quickly talk about there is the fact that they have a brand new power unit going into this car, and obviously the collaboration with Ford coming in there. So with that being said, and obviously now Verstappen, he's dropped down to his old, well, actually not his old number. He actually took Daniel Ricciardo's old number. He's now number 3 in his driver number. He is definitely going to be hunting down for that number 1 again. Damien, real quick, do you think with this collaboration with Ford coming in, and from what we've seen from the performance so far from testing, does Verstappen have a chance to come back and get another championship this season?
Well, I think the whole Ford thing, compared to last year, like you were saying earlier on, it's same but different. Like the ICE part is all their own Red Bull powertrain, so it's pretty much the same kind of people working on it for the last number of years. The Ford collaboration is more on the battery and electric motor side of things. So yeah, Red Bull mightn't have had a lot of expertise in that area. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Ford can bring to the table. But looking at, you know, things so far, performance seems to be good. You know, you put a good car under Max Verstappen, he's going to win you a championship. So yeah, he'll be thereabouts. As for Hadjar coming in for season, the number 2 seat at Red Bull, the seat of death.
Rest in peace, Isaac Hadjar. We're looking forward to you. Well, actually, we're not looking forward to you. We're going to be sorry to see you as a reserve driver next season.
I hope he does good. He's a good driver. He's kind of proved that last year in his stint at Racing Bull. So hoping he has a good season. But yeah, let's see. As I said, for most drivers, this is a blank slate. It's going to be a new way of driving, or a slightly different way of driving, and whoever kind of grasps it, you know, early on, might be they'll have a good season. I think some of these younger drivers or rookies might be a little bit more adaptable than some of the old fogies like Alonso and these guys who, you know, are used to doing things a certain way. So yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on the rookies this year to see how they adapt. But I think Hadjar could well be somebody who has a good season from that perspective. But yeah, car looks great. Performance seems to be good. Yeah, trending upwards for Red Bull, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully with that new collaboration with Ford, hopefully they do have a good season. No, it'll be good to see Hadjar getting more race wins under his belt. Well, not saying more race win, an actual race win, not just, you know, from last season he was on the podium, but, you know, actually getting race wins and, you know, being up there with Max and stuff like that. It'll be good to see that, hopefully. But moving on to their sister team, because they are their sister team, and this is the sister team. I'm just throwing that out there, emphasizing that there, Isidro, because I know we had a little bit of a, not saying a clash last season when we spoke about this. But moving on to their sister team, who also seems to be called Red Bull as well, let's talk about Racing Bulls. This livery, what do you think of it, Isidro? I think this is pretty much, you know, as we said there, same but different, but still same. But those wheels, I mean, they look like 4 giant polo mints that car is racing on. What do you think of it? Do you think it looks good?
The wheels look very, very good. And the livery is pretty much the same from last year.
Yeah.
If anything, they increased the number of sponsors that they have there. I think they tried to compete with McLaren, how much sponsors they can have in one wing or something like that. But the wheels are very good. I think it looks class on that car.
Yeah, I know. I like just even kind of when you look at this side, like you kind of like the side angle of the car. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. They just look like 4 giant polo mints. I don't know what to make of that. Like I like, okay, look, when it comes to, you know, designs of cars, who cares what they look like? At the end of the day, if it gets points on the board and it wins races, that's all that matters. But it's just when it comes to the visual sort of look of things, I get very OCD about this kind of stuff, and I'm just like, no, I just want to completely, you know, color those in black, just get rid of these white rims here, get rid of that. But no, I have to say though, it does look like a very, very nice car. It really does.
It
but
looks
it's just
good with those hard compound tires. Let's see if they the red from soft, it still looks as nice.
That's the thing, it's going to be all these different colors. But yeah, look, no, it does look good. And again, also as well, because they are the sister team of Red Bull.
And it looks cleaner from the side and from the front, because from the side you only have maybe 6 hands or something, but from the front traces you need both hands to count the sponsors.
The amount of sponsors that are on that car. But like their sister team Red Bull, they're also using the new Ford power unit that's going into the Red Bull racing car. But also as well, we only have one rookie joining the grid this season, and that is in the form of Arvid Lindblad. Isidro, have you heard much about Arvid Lindblad? Have you seen much of his F2 racing stats or what he's been like? I've seen he's crashed a lot and likes to crash into people. Are we going to get a Sergio Perez 2.0 here, or what do you make of Arvid Lindblad? Am I wrong putting this sort of statement on him this early on?
Yeah, I think so, because especially he's coming to the new era, so it doesn't need to adapt as much as the drivers from last year, where they had the similar car, but they were used to the car that it was. Lindblad is coming to everything new, so he doesn't have old habits to forget. So I think that is he has that going on for him, which is nice. And the fact they're making to run 160 laps on day 3, so they're making sure that he definitely gets used to the car, gets to understand everything, and does well. They already have Kimi to crash against other drivers. They don't need second driver on the grid for that.
Kimmy's like, if he's listening to this show, he's like, hey, that's my job. You leave Arvid Lindblad alone. That's my objective. Hashtag run into Charles Leclerc again.
It's just a shame that there's only one rookie this year, which means that the WhatsApp group of the rookies, it's just Lindblad.
It's just Lindblad on his own.
Sorry, Lindblad and Alonso.
And that's it. That's it. Yeah, Lindblad and Alonso just on their own. Oh, that sucks. But overall, like, I mean, the performance so far, like, yeah, as you were mentioning there, Lindblad, he has 160 odd laps under his belt. Definitely, obviously, trying to get used to the regulations. Now, one thing well, do you know what, guys? I'm gonna make a promise to you this season, right? I'll go easy on Liam Lawson this season. I won't call him King Dick. I promise. I have my fingers crossed, by the way. I can't believe you fell for that. I know, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he's not a dick this season. Hopefully we can give the crown to somebody else. But look, moving on to the next team that we need to talk about, and oh my Jesus. This is this has been the team that I think, not saying all eyes have been on, but this has been the team that everyone has been eagerly waiting to see how their performance would be. Damien, we need to talk about Aston Martin, because it went from great to absolutely shite and horrible and oh my god, why are they even in F1 at one stage, to just completely, let's get out of here. We look like an absolute shit show with what's going on here. This Aston Martin car has not been good so far over all of the testing. I mean, from Barcelona to Bahrain, the amount of issues that this car has had. And again, with Adrian Newey coming in at the helm, making the design of the car. And of course, when you look at that car, I'm not going to say that I'm so used to seeing Adrian Newey designs that you can clearly tell that was made by Adrian Newey. But when you look at all the other designs of the car and you look at all the cool little unique bits of this Aston Martin, you can definitely tell Adrian Newey worked on this. But oh my god, what is going on at Aston Martin, Damien? First of all, let's quickly talk about the livery. What do you make of that?
Not too much change there. It's maybe a little bit lighter on the green side of things, but yeah, overall it's pretty nice. Don't think again there's too much differences over the years of the Aston Martin livery since they started using that name and that title. So yeah, looks good. I think I like the kind of the fluorescent yellow kind of stripes and little tails at the end there. Looks good overall, but again, doesn't matter how it looks if it can't compete. So
exactly
the most important aspect, and yeah, that they seem to be in I wouldn't say a lot of trouble, but they're definitely way behind the others. I'm not sure if that's related to Adrian Newey coming in late in the design. I think he had to sit out his gardening leave for a certain period of time after leaving Red Bull. Did that put Aston Martin behind on the design? Did they do any pre-work before he got there? So that there's things like that going on. And then again, Honda seemed to be having a bit of a nightmare like they did with McLaren back 10 years ago or 11 years ago, whatever it was, when they were with McLaren. So yeah, the noise coming out hasn't been good from either driver. Per Fernando Alonso, thought coming to Aston Martin he might eventually have a shot at a championship again, but they've kind of stuttered and stammered, and there's been great performance, and then it's just tailed off. They've never been consistent. Adrian Newey is supposed to bring that. Doesn't look like it so far, but yeah, if anybody's going to figure it out, it's him. But from it seems to be more from the power unit kind of side of things. I think they had to turn down, the power basically to stop the ICE engine blowing up at one stage. And then they had the battery issue, I think it was, for the electric part of the engine. And then they had to abandon their test in case it blew up because they had no spares, So they've manufacturing problems at Honda. I don't know, logistics issues, supply chain issues, and yeah, it's turning into a bit of a nightmare of a pre-season for Aston Martin. So if they can get that sorted, let's see. But yeah, it's really hard to tell how they'll be this season. But looking at it now, they're back of the pack, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because, as you've mentioned there's three sort of main elements to this whole combination that makes up Aston Martin. We've got the Honda engines, which we know have done incredibly well for Red Bull over the past set of regulations, and then obviously when they switched to Honda back there, what was it, in 2020 or 2021 when they switched to Honda? We've got the Honda engine. We have Adrian Newey, again, him being the absolute, genius of designing F1 cars, and we've seen his history at Red Bull as well. And then, of course, with these new regulations and all of that kind of stuff, and of course, Fernando Alonso being there, we had this whole combination of things that everyone was so excited for, but then it just seems to be nothing but, it's just failure at every turn, you've got Stroll bringing out red flags, which is kind of a normal day in the office for Stroll. You've also got Fernando Alonso bringing out the red flags, and of course that was mainly because I think it was either the drive shaft or something like that, as you mentioned there, was going in the car. It just seems to be one thing after the other with Aston Martin. But hopefully after all of these series of testing here, we have again 13-14 days until Melbourne. Hopefully they're able to get this stuff sorted sorted out for the first race. Who knows? Maybe they won't. It might take a little bit of time, but oh my God, this is just such a golden ticket opportunity with having all of this under the one roof. Adrian Newey, the Honda engine, and being an Aston Martin with also as well Fernando Alonso. You've got an incredible driver there. This is a golden ticket opportunity for Aston Martin to win a World Drivers' Championship or even a Constructors' Championship. They have the ingredients, but they just don't seem to be cooking the ingredients in the right way. Something seems to be burning in the kitchen in some way, shape, or form. But who knows? We've yet to see what it's capable of when it comes to Melbourne. But moving on to the next team. This is the team that pretty much everybody has had their eyes on because it's been nothing but non-stop push. Or Mercedes are the best. Everyone loves Mercedes. Non-stop talking about Mercedes. Isidro, we're going to talk about Mercedes. First of all, what do you make of this livery? Personally, I think it looks absolutely awesome. A little bit of same, but still, it looks absolutely incredible. Like, I mean, even if you kind of look at it from the top down, you look at those kind of, was it the Adidas sort of design that they've gone for here? Isn't it Adidas that they're sponsored by? Isn't it Adidas or something like that? Or is it Puma or something? No, it's Adidas that they've gone with the collaboration with. But yeah, I love this design. But Isidro, what do you make of it?
I like the new livery. Very similar as in the color with the gray and the bluish greenish kind of thing. But yeah, I do like the new livery, and I think it looks nice. And if the livery comes with a very good engine that we all hope that they have, then yeah, there's a winning team right there.
Yeah, because everyone seems to be looking at Mercedes, like just even from Barcelona testing, Bahrain, all that kind of stuff. Like all of the talk of the paddock is that Mercedes have something or up their sleeve that they haven't been showing off or whatever it is, but they can see in terms of like the performance of the car that there's something there that Mercedes have that, you know, has them up there fighting for wins and possibly a Constructors' Championship. I mean, dare I say, you know, George Russell World Drivers' Champion 2026? I hope not. But at the end of the day, Mercedes, they seem to know what they're doing. And you know what? Regardless of all the talk and the rumors and the speculation and whatever it is, if, you know, they're talking about what Mercedes might be doing or not doing or whatever it is, it's just good to see that compared to the last set of regulations all the way back in 2022, when they just could not get a grasp of these set of the ground effect era regulations, they had an absolute shite start to 2022. It seems to be good, or seems to be going well for them this time around. And it's good to see that, you know, because we've somewhat missed Mercedes for a couple of years being up there fighting for wins and fighting for championships and really sticking it to the big teams and stuff like that. Like, I know, yes, we've had Russell winning races and, you know, Hamilton, when he was at Mercedes for the couple of years during the ground effect era, yes, he was also going for wins and he was fighting against the top and stuff like that. But hopefully with all these rumors that are going around, hopefully it's a case of that these, like Mercedes, this is the team to beat. What I be right in saying that? Like, I mean, do you think that's how it's going to be for 2026? Or could I be completely wrong and day one Melbourne, they're just at the back of the pack?
No, I think they got this right. And the fact that FIA just approved their little trick of in the combustion chamber, that they have a little more space or something like that, it basically gives Mercedes the confidence that they are right to feel confident. And I'll not be surprised if we see George Russell WDC 2026.
So just real quick, and we will move on from Mercedes here because I know we still have a couple of teams to get through. Explain this whole thing to me like I'm 5. What's this whole legal thing or this loophole that they're getting through? Explain it to me like I'm 5.
So very quickly, I think that the regulations, they only refer that the chamber needs to have a specific size, but they managed to just increase maybe 2 cubic centimeters, which gives more space when the engine is burning hot. And that's enough to pass the tests.
My God, Isidro, I am using every might of my being not to use an inappropriate joke here right now after everything you just said there.
And the thing is, Red Bull tried to do the same, but they couldn't replicate 100%. That's why Red Bull joined the other team saying, oh, they are cheating.
Just performance jitters. That's all it was, Isidro.
Because Red Bull got some of the Mercedes engineers, but the ones that they got didn't have the right notes.
They were just having stage fright. That's all it was.
So I think Mercedes got it right out of the box. So they are definitely out there to win the championship.
Well, hopefully. It'd be good to see some good results from Mercedes this season. But moving on to the team that also a lot of people had eyes on, Williams. Damien, we do need to talk about this. Firstly, this livery, beautiful. Absolutely love it. I think if not, it's probably one of the best on the grid. I know it's very, very similar to last season, if not identical to last season, with a different sort of accent of blue there with the Barclays logo on the side and everything. But it looks absolutely incredible with this sort of design of regulations and all that kind of stuff. Looks class, but oh my God, Williams have had the worst start. Well, not the worst start. Aston Martin really have had the worst start. Let's give that word to them. Williams, they didn't really have a great start to this set of regulations. Would I be right in saying that? Run me through the issues that they've been experiencing.
Yeah, but the car looks great, I have to say. They've nice various shades of blue complementing each other there. It looks great. Can't wait to see it out on track. And again, I think this is another one that'll look great underneath the lights of those night races. So yeah, they've nailed it from that perspective. Maybe should have spent a little bit more time on the factory issues. There's no doubt that James Vowles has done a miracle job with Williams in the few years that he has been there. Again, it wasn't just racing issues. There was like manufacturing problems, operational problems, corporate problems, like everything from the factory through to the way that the team was organized and ran was an absolute shambles for decades. And yeah, he had a big job. So he's not just fighting on the, I suppose, the technical and the racing side of things. He's, been stuck in the more corporate and organizational side of things as well. He's having to deal with a lot of issues there. So he's done a lot in the past couple of years, but it's clear that that job isn't over yet. I think they have invested a lot of money in the manufacturing and the factory and, the way they work and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that job isn't complete yet. And I think last year they were one of the first to kind of give up on 2025, big upgrades to focus on 2026. And they were still late to the table when it came to, the testing this year. They missed the shakedown completely, which was really just for teams to, see how their operations were working, figure out the little bugs and all this kind of thing more than performance type testing. So they've had to miss some of the actual performance testing, say from Bahrain, to do all those things that the other teams did in Barcelona. And of course, we heard things about failed crash tests being 20 kilograms overweight, and yeah, it's just been not a great start. They've been kind of scrambling. If you think back to, was it 2024 Australia race this time 2 years ago, they had to give a car to Albon because he had crashed his car. They took Logan Sargent's away from him because they didn't have a spare chassis.
That's right, actually, yeah, they did.
they weren't ready back then, and you'd think that 2 years later that at least they would sort out these kind of issues behind the scenes. But it's quite clearly a bigger job than we've seen. In terms of performance, they're kind of middling of the pack at the moment. If they can get all their kind of early season issues started, I think they'll be thereabouts as the best of the rest. So similar to last season, but I think they've got a couple of contenders to fight with this year, which will be nipping at their heels. But yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about Haas.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. But Isidro, I never thought I'd actually say this, but the last team to bear the Mercedes power unit sort of trend, let's talk about Alpine, because this season they have switched from Renault to Mercedes power units. First of all, the livery, it's just the exact same thing from last season. There is very, very minuscule differences, I think, just tiny little bits, but that is just the exact same car from last year, but in the 2026 style of regulations. Am I right in saying that? It's just the exact same bloody thing. It's just a copy and paste job.
Yeah, they didn't spend much. Well, they need to save money for the Mercedes engine, so they just kept the same livery, which worked right last year. Still working fine this year.
Yeah,
the blue and the pink.
Yeah, but I think also as well, like when it comes to like their performance so far, I mean, when you kind of look at the overall results from day 3, looks very different from its ground effect era counterpart. What, am I right in saying that? I mean, Pierre Gasly up there at the top. I mean, what's going on at Alpine?
Definitely, Alpine is doing much better with the Mercedes engine than it was with the Renault engine last year. So yeah, it was definitely a surprise to see the Alpine up there.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. And if also as well, we still have the exact same drivers from last season as well. We have Pierre Gasly and Franco Colapinto. What do you make of Colapinto? Do you think this is going to be just your guess? Do you think he's going to have a good season this season, or do we think we're going to see the same sort of rumblings from Colapinto this year? Is he going to be a no score Colapinto?
I think he'll be doing points for sure. The car is good, and when Colapinto got his hands on the Williams, we saw that he was able to do points with that car. I'm sure we're going to see Colapinto doing points with this one. I'm not seeing Colapinto in the podium this year, that's for sure, but he'll be in the top 10 here and there.
Do you know what? I have to run this by Dave, but you can hold this to me, Isidro, right? Okay, so if Colapinto gets points this season, I'll give you an extra 5 points in the predictions game at the end of next season. when we finish up in Abu Dhabi, I'll give you an extra 5 points if Colapinto actually gets some points. There we go. Melbourne, day 1, he gets 1 point. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. Shit, I spoke way too soon. But yeah, no, definitely going to be an interesting season for Alpine. But yeah, again, livery still same, very same, no difference there, but still very same. Moving on to our next team, Haas. I'm just throwing this out here. This is my favorite looking car of the entire grid. I absolutely love this. This looks absolutely incredible. It just looks beautiful. Haas, whatever they've been doing over the winter break or over the last several months getting this car prepared, whoever that is, Ferrari, this is how you make a car. Take notes. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of people out there that are saying different. Yours are absolutely wrong. This is the best looking car on the entire grid. Damien, well, I won't say am I right in saying that because that's just my opinion. But what do you make of the Haas car this season?
Yeah, livery is nice. It's not probably not the best livery.
You take that back right now. You take that back right now.
It looks great. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely you can see the Toyota kind of influence there as well. It's a very nice livery. I put it that way. But yeah, it's a little bit kind of boring as well. But yeah. It passes. It passes the livery test, I think. As far as their performance and kind of the testing so far, they seem to be the most solid, the most outside of the top guys. You know, they seem to have their shit together. Put it that way. You know, they just went out. The car looks ready. There's not much to tweak, and they put in some really fast lap times. So. Yeah, I think Haas will be battling it out with Williams, I think, for that fifth spot. I doubt we'll get much more than that out of them, but as it stands now, if they continue this kind of form and this kind of consistency and speed, I think they'll be the surprise package after many years of being a backlier. So, yeah, and they've got a really good pairing there too, and Behrman, who's a couple of seasons under his belt now. And obviously Ocon, who's proven to be quick when he's given a good car. So yeah, expecting decent things from Haas this season, I have to say.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just still can't believe you said that livery is boring. So we're kicking Damien off the show. I'm joking. No, we're all entitled to our opinion, Damien. We're all entitled to our opinion.
No Red Bull. Put it that way. It doesn't look as good as the Red Bull. It's
it's like a different category of awesome. It's not the same as Red Bull, but it's class. It is amazing. It looks like a race car. It really, really does. Now, they all look like race cars, but it looks like a really good race car. But moving on from Haas, we do need to talk about our next team because, again, we were told about this all the way back in, 2020 or 2021 that this team was going to be joining the grid. Audi. They came along, they revealed their car, and oh my God, it was probably, in my own opinion, and I think for a lot of people who I've seen the reaction to this as well, it was quite a disappointment in terms of how the car looks. It is, in my own opinion, it's just very, very bland. Like Damien saying that the Haas livery looks boring. This looks boring. This is so boring. The concept livery for this car looked a million times better than this thing. It just looks like they were kind of like, shit, right, we do need to get this livery like ready for the shakedown and Bahrain. Let's just put in, what are the Audi colours? Red. Okay, we'll put a little bit of silver and black. There you go. That's it's done. I mean, Isidro, what do you make of this?
I like it. It's very clean.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You can definitely see the Audi rings there.
I mean, you can definitely see them very, very clearly though, but you could see them even more clearly on the concept livery. I don't know. Look, to each his own. I'm just not a fan of the livery, but as I said at the start of the episode, it doesn't really matter how the car looks as long as it performs well and it actually drives and actually gets, wins for the team and stuff like that. But obviously from what was revealed to what we've seen in Bahrain and the testing and things like that, a very drastic change in terms of the aerodynamics and the visual look of the car. These side pods have changed in a very, very big way, Isidro. It looks kind of like that Squidward Chad meme with that face that he does, that, the puckered lips.
Yeah. But the delivery is still very simple and nice.
Yeah.
And that air intake on the top, it's very nice, that little A or whatever they wanted to do. Yeah.
But as nice as some people might think the car looks, I think the other thing that a lot of people seen this, and it's been going around a lot of different social media platforms. We've seen on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's been doing the rounds, and it's the video of Nico Hülkenberg going down the straight in Bahrain. And I don't think that put a lot of hope in people's, if you want to say, like not a lot of people are hopeful for this season, I think, when it comes to this set of regulations. That car looked to be struggling. Like, you could even see, like, he's coming down into the corner. Obviously, he's harvesting the battery power, going down to second gear, going into that turn, which is not really a typical thing for F1 cars. Usually it's like fourth or third gear at most, but going down in the second gear so they can try and get the energy back up. He gets the energy somewhat halfway to 3/4 of the way up, starts taking off down the straight, and the battery is empty even before he gets to the start finish line. This is a little bit worrisome when it comes to, this sort of thing. Have you seen that video, Isidro?
Yeah. I mean, Audi, they have a lot of experience, not to F1, of course, but they know their cars. They know WEC very, very well. Yeah. So they know the mechanics. So I think this year to be a learning experience for them. I will not expect Audi to be getting points here and there as often as I would see Alpine with the Mercedes engine, for instance. I think Audi will probably get some points. I think Audi will be doing worse this year than Stake was doing in 2025, where Bortoleto and Hülkenberg got a podium. I think this will be a learning lesson for Audi.
Yeah, for sure. No, I have to agree on that one, because at the same time too, as well, I mean, Aston Martin, this is just a quick little sort of thing, kind of comparison to what you're kind of saying here. It was the same thing with Aston Martin when they actually joined the hypercar grid in the WEC. They had a very, very shite start to the season, and they weren't really actually seeing any sort of performance jumps or actually getting up in the grid or trying to get up there in terms of the positioning of the car. They didn't really see that until like the second or last race of the season. So, and that was last year was Aston Martin's first time in the WEC. So I understand any new team coming into any sport, it's going to take a bit of time before you actually start to see them getting wins. So I think if anyone has the expectation going into this that Audi are going to be getting podiums on day one or any time this season, I think it's a little bit of a reach, you know. Like, I think it's going to take them a little bit of time to be getting up there and fighting with the top four, or who knows, maybe they will be. You know, if all these teams are sandbagging, maybe they will be. But it's going to be interesting to see. I just love the fact that we actually have an actual car manufacturer, you know, team replacing, you know, Kick Sauber or whatever the hell they were. I think it's just cool to actually have them coming in here. It's good to see more of the official car, you know, manufacturer brands coming in. But anyway, moving on to our last team, our 11th team, another team joining the grid, a brand new team in the form of Cadillac. We have the return of Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas taking up the wheel of this interesting looking car for the 2026 season. Damien, you are the resident American. What do you make of this? What do you make of this Cadillac?
Yeah, so their big reveal was at the Super Bowl halftime or just after. They had some advertising. That's when the livery was going live as such. And yeah, I was at a Super Bowl party. Not that I knew what was going on that much, but yeah, I was saying to some of the lads like, yeah, there's new Ferrari or a new Formula One team, Ferrari powered Cadillac, you know, American based. It's going to be pretty cool, but you know. And then when it came on, we thought everybody's like, "Is that it?" You know, like, yeah, the livery was just so boring and bland, and
yeah,
I think there was a lot of fan versions or whatever going around that were based on their WEC cars, the kind of yellow. It was like a blue and something else, and yeah, I think the yellow one in particular, that's I suppose everybody has seen at this stage, just looked class. It was like, yeah, you know, you don't need to go beyond that, just do that. And what they've come out with is just, yeah, I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just pretty bland and boring. You know, you could have done this in Microsoft Paint in 10 minutes, you know.
You could, because like even when you see it on track here now as well, like just from like Bahrain and, you know, Barcelona and stuff like that, it still just looks very bland, because like even like the accents on the side, like they looked somewhat of that sort of chrome silver in the actual reveal, but they are just pure white, and it just I don't know. And exactly as you said there, like I mean, they had so much opportunity to take inspiration from their WEC team. That those cars have had so many different color combinations, designs, and whatever they've stuck on that car looks absolutely beautiful. But they come along and do this. Come on, guys, whoever's in the livery department, if you're listening to this, please do something a little bit different for next season if you can. You know, like
it reminded me a little bit of when Braun F1 came out with their livery. It was just literally pure, and it had, you know, little flashes of kind of the fluorescent yellow and black. That looked great. Somehow this with, you know, it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of very bland, but they've just made it really boring. You know, you can do one or two colors and make it still look good. This was just kind of like a bit of a half-ass of an attempt, to be honest, you know.
Exactly.
They missed a trick as well with the whole USA thing, you know. Stick a little bit of red, white, and blue on it, you know, go patriotic, get the fans behind it. That's what they want, right? And that's what's kind of trending. That always trends over here, right?
Yeah, because even I think Haas, they've been doing that for a very long time, if I'm actually right in saying that. Actually, yeah, look, there you go. If you look at the Haas car, we'll quickly go back to that image of the Haas car there. Look, they actually have the American flag on the nose of the car.
Yeah. So I think if they want to bring in fans, and especially US-based fans, you know, dial into that type of thing, you know, but yeah, in terms of performance and stuff like that, they kind of got okay. You know, they're going to be at the back of the grid. I don't think there's going to be any surprises there with them clearly way off the pace. Again, their new team coming in, they're finding their feet. You know, they'll get better as they go on. But the likes of Alpine or even Aston Martin, let's see what happens to them. But not finishing last for Cadillac would be an amazing season. You know, if they can snipe past somebody like Alpine, who've traditionally been poor, but you know, they have a Mercedes power unit this year. Let's see what happens there. But
yeah,
if they can finish last, you know, that will be the goal of the season, I think. And obviously they're going to find their feet in, you know, from racing to operations to logistics to literally everything. So yeah, they're on the back foot from the start. But yeah, good to see two decent drivers coming back into the sport, which probably they got cut off a little too early. You know, they've missed a few years between them, so they've got good drivers. Yeah, that's the one thing going for them, I would say as well.
Just that mustache being back on the grid. I think we're all just delighted to see that mustache and that mullet. That's it. And hopefully Perez just won't bin it into a wall or have two Haas cars come together and just completely destroy him in Monaco.
It'll sure make the Mexico Grand Prix to be a big event again. I think they've missed the past couple of seasons that he's been out. So yeah, Perez draws a big crowd from North and Central America for sure.
Well, that's it. And that's one thing I was going to say there is that regardless of whatever American track that they go to, Cadillac are going to need to perform, you know, because the American fans who have supported Haas since they've come into the sport, well, back in, what was it, 2013, Haas joined F1 or whatever it was, around that time anyway. You know, like Haas, they haven't really had a great time when it comes to F1. Like, yeah, they've had maybe some good seasons, bad seasons, but you know, like the fans, the American fans, they want to rally behind a team and see them actually getting some really good race results and points. Cadillac are going to need to put on a performance here. And again, with that Ferrari power unit in the back, and we've seen the results so far from, you know, the actual, you know, team itself, the Ferrari team, like they've been putting in some good times there and stuff like that. Hopefully, you know, if it's not this season, maybe even next season, hopefully we'll start to see some good results from Cadillac. But again, look, this is all still early days. This is pre-season testing. We have absolutely no idea until we go to Melbourne, or even until we get somewhat halfway through the season, of how this is going to shape up to be, because we're all starting from scratch here, and we don't know exactly how this is going to turn out. We'll have an idea of some of the teams, but we don't know how this is going to go. It could go either way. But I'm just glad that we have a little bit more variety now on the grid. We've got more drivers on the grid. There's going to be more battles with having more cars on the grid. That's what we have to look forward to with having now 11 teams and 22 drivers. But again, look, that Cadillac livery, do something about it, Cadillac. You've had a lot of time to prepare for this as well.
I think as well with the extra drivers, there's some changes to the qualifying format as well in terms of the number of cars that go through to Q2, Q1, etc. So, I was reading briefly about that. I think there's more go out per round or something like that. I'll have to look at it again. But that's another thing that we have to take a look at for this season.
Very interesting. I did not know that, and that was something I should have had prepared for this episode. Thank you for thank you for bringing that little bit of information to us, Damien.
Just on the US thing, like most people I see here are wearing McLaren and Ferrari t-shirts and Red Bull t-shirts. You know, there wasn't, I don't think traditionally a lot of love for Haas, you know, because I think they're mostly based in the UK or in Europe. Anyway, they do have some stuff over in North Carolina somewhere, but yeah, I think Cadillac they built a brand new base in the US here. I think they're up around Illinois or somewhere like that, maybe Detroit. So yeah, this will be the kind of first proper US based team, you know. So they had a good chance to kind of cash in that. So maybe they still can, but yeah, let's see.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, we'll see how it goes for Cadillac anyway. It's going to be an interesting season. But folks, that was our 11 teams and our 11 sort of opinions on each of the team over the pre-season testing. We're going to move on to our final segment of today's episode, which is, it's going to be our best looking car award of pre-season testing, our worst looking car award, and our own predictions for the World Constructors Champion and also the World Drivers Champion. So I'm going to kick it off with you, Isidro. Who or what team are you going to give your best looking livery / car award to?
Best looking livery, I would go with Red Bull.
You're going to go with Red Bull. Oh, interesting. Like grand. You're going with Red Bull. And what is the worst looking car?
Probably McLaren.
Oh,
if they keep the fire.
Those are strong words, even though we absolutely berated Audi and Cadillac there for the last few minutes. Just straight off the gate, I'm putting them down a peg. They've had too good of a ride here the last year or two. They have a shit looking car, McLaren.
The Cadillac livery reminds me of AlphaTauri. Very clean look.
That is true, actually. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that actually. The AlphaTauri look. Who's going to be your World Constructors Champion? Who do you predict? What team is going to? You think Mercedes are going to do it? And off of that being said, who do you think is going to be the drivers' champion? Because you only have two options there.
Russell.
He's going for a Mercedes World Constructors and a George Russell World Drivers Champion. Okay, so I'm actually going to write that down now, because that's going to be your prediction. Now we're going to add that to the predictions game going into this season, right? So you're saying that Mercedes is your World Constructors Champion, and you're saying George Russell is your World Drivers Champion. Are you really sure you want to lock that in there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh wow, if anyone else has listened to this, you're going to get in a few nasty comments. I'm just kidding. I'll fight them off for you, Zedra. I like George Russell.
Thank you.
I don't like George Russell at all. Damien, so who are you giving your best looking livery car award to?
It has to be Red Bull Racing, I think. It hands down, they absolutely cooked this season with that livery. Worst one, Cadillac.
Yeah,
Mr. Mark.
Yeah, have to agree with you on that one. Definitely Cadillac. They had plenty of opportunity to get that right, and they came up with that pile of shite. But who's your World Constructors Champion? Who do you think is going to clinch it this season?
Oh, I think Isidro is right. Mercedes.
Oh, Mercedes. Two for you from eight. Now, are you really confident in this, lads? Because, there's no going back here. Yeah. Okay, right. We'll go with that. So, and who's your World Drivers Champion?
Oh, this is a tough one.
That's it, man. That's it.
I think if Ferrari can, maintain this really good momentum, I think Charles Leclerc or Hamilton could be thereabouts. I think Mercedes is going to have the best car. So then you have to say it's Woody himself.
Sheriff Woody.
And then you have McLaren, right, who's been so dominant over the past number of years, and you have a really fast Lando Norris. So it's really, and Red Bull are back, right? You've got a really good car there in Red Bull, and obviously Max Verstappen, who's just like on a different planet in terms of driver ability. So it's going to be, it's a really tough call, but I think it's going to be George Russell.
Oh my lordy lord, another George Russell. Oh my god, guys, I cannot wait for Abu Dhabi this year. Oh, it's going to be so funny. I can't wait to go back and look at all these predictions. Yeah, I'm going to be laughing either because you guys will have just claimed, an additional 5 points to your predictions, and I'll be sitting there with absolutely zero. But either way, I'll laugh, so it'll be grand. But don't be going around saying those kind of words too loudly now, lads. I wouldn't be saying that every weekend going into these races. But that's it. They're locked in there now, lads. So there's no going back there. You can't be changing those predictions. For me, anyway, look, I'm going to give my best looking livery car award. I think you all know at this stage, I'm giving it to Haas. That car, hands down. I know Red Bull, yes, beautiful car. I'd probably say that'd be second on my list. And then I would probably give Mercedes a third there, but the best looking one in my opinion is Haas. I think that looks absolutely incredible. They made a race car and they made it look absolutely savage. I love it. The worst looking car award, I'm going with Damien as well on this one. Cadillac, absolutely shite. Audi was a very close joint second there. They could probably even share that award if they wanted to, in my opinion. But I'm definitely giving it to Cadillac. They needed to come up with something a little bit different on that one. But my World Constructors Champion and also World Drivers Champion, I'm going to give it to, first of all, my constructors. I'm giving it to Ferrari. I'm throwing all of my eggs into that basket this season, lads. They gave me hope. I'm clinging on to that hope. I'm going to lose that hope after Melbourne anyway, so I'm just going to kind of run on this sort of hype train for the next couple of weeks until it's completely gone for another 6-7 months. I'm giving it to Ferrari. And then lastly, my World Drivers Champion, I'm giving it to Lewis. He's going to get his 8th trophy. He's going to do it this year, lads. It's our year.
And you were giving us Jip for saying Mercedes were going to win it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he has like a completely 360 degree movable rear wing. What does Mercedes have? I know they've got a great car, but minus that, they don't have a 360-degree rotating rear wing.
225 degrees. All right. Yeah, don't get carried away.
Look, it flipped around in a big massive circle, and that looked cool in my opinion. I don't care how many degrees it was. It could be 0 degrees or 6 billion degrees, but it was class.
Yeah, that's locked in now, right? Yeah, Ferrari.
100%. I holding that. Look, I will hold my hands up and say that 100%. Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. That's my two choices locked in for Abu Dhabi end of the season. I was just saying to Isidro there before we actually started recording. Have you seen that video of the meme that's going around of the back of Lewis Hamilton's car driving down the straight in Bahrain, and instead of the rear wing rotating around, it's the big massive piece of meat on the spit. Oh, it's brilliant. It's so funny. Whoever came up with that, whoever it is who came up with that meme, you're an absolute genius. But yeah, anyway, look, everyone, that's all of our predictions, our awards and our thoughts on all the cars and stuff that season. Look, regardless of all of that, lads, it was great to just get back together and chat about F1. It's been a while. I've missed it, you know, being on the screen and stuff like that, and just even talking about F1. I know we've been kind of briefly talking about it over Christmas and our downtime and stuff like that anyway, but no, it's good to be back and just, you know, getting back into the swing of things again. Like, I know now we've got 2 weeks, we have to wait until Melbourne, but I mean, sure, look, I mean, we were even saying back in Abu Dhabi there'll be ages before we get around to talking about this stuff, and here it is now. So it'll be, you know, it'll be very quick when Melbourne comes around, I think. But yeah, lads, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I know you are very, very busy as well yourselves, so thank you so much for joining me. And do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up here this evening?
No, just looking forward to the racing starting. Yeah. Early start, I think, for you guys is what, 4 a.m. or something, or 5 a.m. for Australia?
Yeah, 4 a.m. Yeah, I think it is actually 4 a.m. here. Yeah.
I will not be watching live.
Do you know what? I have no excuse because I always get up at about 4 or 5 a.m. for the Vegas races. So I'd be lying to myself if I said that I wouldn't be up watching the Australian race. The only way that I won't be is if I sleep in and forget to wake up and my alarm doesn't wake me up. That's the only way.
That's bad for me. It's on Saturday night here at 8 p.m. So yeah, I'll watch that.
Oh, isn't that just lucky for you? That's class.
Yeah, one of 4 races that are on at time for me. Yeah, just wait till I get to Europe and I'm doing the early mornings. And
oh, I can't wait. It's going to be class. Just watching F1 in the afternoon, getting up at my ease, not having to care. It's going to be great. But Isidro as well, thank you so much for joining. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Let's hope Williams can get their house together.
Hopefully.
Doing the podiums easier.
Hopefully that'll be great. It's going to be a very exciting season. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, folks, listen, thank you so much for joining us this evening, guys. Look, I'll let you go. Look, as always, if you've enjoyed today's episode, folks, definitely make sure to click that like button, whatever platform you listen to this on, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're listening to it on. And of course, definitely, if you want to follow us throughout this whole 2026 season and see how everything kind of shakes up with all the teams and all of our thoughts and opinion, because with every weekend we also have our predictions game where we make our predictions on who's going to win the race and all these kind of cool things. And if you want to follow that as well, definitely make sure to click on that lovely subscribe button and follow button, or whatever button that continues to, you know, push all of these episodes into your feed and your notifications thing on your phone every week. So definitely make sure to do that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will definitely see you next time in a couple of weeks' time. I think, was it? Yeah, again, the 8th of March at 4 a.m. Oh my God. Well, it'll be the next day for everybody else anyway when we start chatting about this, or the episode is up. But until next time, folks, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. Definitely leave your thoughts and opinions on everything that we discussed here today as well below in the comment section or the side comment section. And until next time, we will see you all for the Australian GP. Adios.